If you've ever looked at a crowded concert poster and felt a wave of genuine exhaustion before even buying a ticket, I have some provocative news for you. You aren't socially anxious, you aren't damaged, and you certainly aren't boring. And that you are simply operating on a neural resolution that the average person is literally incapable of processing, while the rest of the world is busy vibing in a sea of sweat and noise. Your brain is performing a high-stakes survival audit that would make a CIA analyst look like an amateur. Society tells you that your preference for solitude is a defect. It's a sign that you're failing at the modern game of being seen. But the truth is much colder. Your psychology is playing grandmaster chess, while everyone else is still trying to figure out which way the horse moves in checkers. Today, we are stripping away the introvert labels and looking at the raw clinical machinery of why your brain chooses to opt out of the noise. We are going to dissect the acetylcholine-dopamine divide, or the specific leaky sensory filters that turn your life into an 8K IMAX experience, and why your BS detector is actually a sophisticated neurobiological defense mechanism. To understand why a crowded room feels like a psychological war zone, we have to talk about sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. Most people walk into a bar and their brain's Thalamic Gatekeeper automatically deletes 90% of the ambient data. Their brains ignore the flickering neon light, the smell of cheap perfume, and the 17 overlapping conversations as if they don't exist. Your brain, however, has zero interest in deletion. It is a high-speed data harvester that screenshots and catalogs everything simultaneously. Scientists call this a leaky sensory filter, but in reality, it's a high-definition neural intake. That makes you notice the micro-expression on a stranger's face across the room. You don't just hear the music, you process the tonal shift in the background. There's the rhythmic inconsistency of the drummer and the way the bass is vibrating in your specific ribcage. Research indicates that roughly 20% of the population carries this trait, and which served a vital evolutionary purpose for millennia. While the extroverts were distracted by the campfire, your ancestors were the ones who noticed the subtle shift in the wind that signaled a predator. You are the descendant of the people who paid attention, which means your nervous system is permanently set to perceive or die. In the modern world, this survival mechanism is a superpower that feels like a curse, because society was built for people who can operate in a low-resolution fog. This brings us to the second pillar of your introversion, the perceptual mask. You aren't antisocial, you are simply anti-performance. In any large crowd, 90% of what you are seeing is theater. People wearing the "I'm having fun" mask or the "I'm totally listening" mask while their eyes tell a different story. Because your brain is hyper-attuned to nonverbal cues, you are effectively a human lie detector who never clocked out. You see the tension in a forced smile, the micro-shrug of someone who's lying, and the desperate energy of someone trying to fit in. Processing all this social static is neurologically expensive, and your brain is smart enough to know that the return on investment for small talk is effectively zero. A study from Cambridge University suggests that those who prefer solitude often score higher in emotional intelligence, because they prioritize the truth of an interaction over the noise. You don't want to discuss the weather because your brain experiences small talk like chewing on dry cardboard. You crave the 3 a.m. conversation because that's the only time people stop performing and start being real. But the most fascinating part of this divide isn't your personality, it's your neurochemistry. Most people are driven by the dopamine reward system. When they walk into a party, their brain throws a pleasure parade. But for a brain like yours, the dopamine pathway is a short, high-stress circuit that leads to immediate burnout. Instead, your system runs on acetylcholine, a completely different neurotransmitter that rewards introspection, deep focus, and being alone. Acetylcholine doesn't give you a rush, it gives you a deep calm, a sense of clarity, and that only arrives when the world stops demanding your attention. While extroverts need the outside world to feel alive, you need the internal space to access your full operating system. Neuroimaging has discovered that introverted brains actually have thicker gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for complex planning and abstract thought. When you are doing nothing in a quiet room, your brain is actually performing a high-level defragmentation of your entire life's data. You are composing symphonies of thought while the rest of the world is stuck listening to the elevator music of their own impulses. This leads us to the phenomenon of the emotional Wi-Fi router. Your brain is equipped with mirror neurons that are essentially on steroids. You don't just observe the mood of a room, you download it into your own nervous system. If you walk into a space where two people just had a silent argument, your chest tightens and your heart rate spikes before a single word is said. Spend 2 hours in a crowd and you aren't just managing your own stress, you are acting as an emotional sponge for 300 strangers. This isn't shyness, it's a massive psychological overload that requires days of recovery time to flush the emotional toxins out of your system. But here's the last realist truth: the world needs your distance more than it needs your participation. Society is currently obsessed with the cult of noise, equating being busy and loud with being happy and successful. But silence isn't empty, it is where the loudest truths actually live. Solitude isn't loneliness, it is the laboratory where you finally meet the person behind the masks. You aren't missing out on life, you are opting out of a system that was never designed for people who think with this level of resolution. Your peace is an act of liberation. The next time someone asks why you don't go out more, understand that they are asking why you won't voluntarily drain your battery, or to fit into a space that offers you nothing in return. You are built for depth in a shallow world, and that makes you a rare, highly calibrated asset in a sea of static. If this deep dive into the introvert's code hit home, it's because you've spent too much time trying to fix a brain that was never broken in the first place. You aren't a glitch in the social matrix, you are the reason the matrix even has any depth. Join us at The Last Realists, where we skip the platitudes and look directly at the neurobiology of the human experience. Subscribe and hit that bell. And because while the crowd is out there making noise, we're in here making sense of it. Click the next video to find out why your dark humor is actually a sign of superior psychological resilience. We'll see you in the next one. Wait, did you hear that? The sound of your own thoughts is louder than the crowd. That's not a glitch, that's your superpower. Don't trade your 8K resolution for their low-def fog. Stay calibrated, stay deep. The world will catch up eventually. Final frame, the Last Realist logo.